Konene. So kuna kwa na stories zingine zile mtu sikiaga hapa Kenya jo unashindwa kunaendaje. So kuna story nilicheki ni SHA CEO Mercy Mwangangi grilled over 77 million shillings paid to recover a debt worth 13 million. Nasikia hiyo? So basically pesa yetu, because taxpayers money, they spent 77 million to recover 13 million. That means we lost 64 million on this, and it's just one of those stories ile unasikiaga unashindwa nini happen na hii nchi. So of course mother amejitetea akasema that yeye mwenyewe hiyo time hakuwa hii ni kitu ile happen maybe once was in 2021, but these cases have always been there, and this is one of the things mushinaga nikisema that I've never understood how we have all these government institutions and they don't have their own in-house lawyers, because the in-house lawyers would save us a lot of money. Unachekigi all these things of where they have to hire a lawyer outside, and these lawyers cost billions. Na kumkaka Nairobi saizi I think ina Donald Kipkorir 1.3 billion. You can try and imagine how much 1.3 billion can do in helping Nairobi. Najua, like for someone like me, that would be money that I can use to try to see if I can make the roads less dusty, to funike hizi ma pavements zote zile ziko karibu na barabara ziko na vumbi. Najua, we keep the roads clean. That would be something. And what would that do? It would create a lot of employment, and also a lot of water that's wasted in kuosha magari haitabaki imetumika kwa hiyo story. That water can be conserved and used in something else. So that would be my nini. But yes, the bullshit continues, and the bullshit is bullshitting so much that pia kulikuwa na historia rogue law enforcers detained, alafu iko ni 2 DCIs officers charged over alleged theft. Officers allegedly abducted a blogger and stole from him. Alafu the rogue officers watakuwa detained for the next 8 days. So nasikia hiyo, like DCI, when you think about DCI, what comes to mind? The thing that comes to mind is the law. But now in this situation, the DCI are lawless. So wacha tusikie vile story kwa reported.
Elsewhere, 2 former DCI officers, Cleophas Wambua Musinga and James Omwami, have today appeared in Kibra law courts over alleged theft. The 2 officers allegedly abducted Praveen Korir Kipkemoy on July 16th from his workplace in Mbagathi before stealing from him. The suspects allegedly took his phone worth 200,000 shillings, demanded ransom from his contacts, withdrew 80,000 shillings from his M-Pesa, and later dumped him in a ditch along Athi River. The 2 were arrested yesterday in Kitengela, where police recovered 7 phones, SIM cards, 2 national IDs, car number plates, a pair of handcuffs, and a tear gas canister.
Kinazataka kujua ni, you're saying they're former officers. So when were they fired? Were they fired leo? Kuska walikuwa arrested jana, and after they were fired, waliachwa na hizi vitu zote that now they were using to terrorize people. And I actually don't know, because your story haiko clear kwa hii story, but wacha tuendelee.
Gas canister, explosives as well. Principal Magistrate Daisy Mutai granted investigators 8 days for further investigations.
Reasons, moja ikiwa ya kwamba investigating officer hajaweza kuestablish mahali mnaishi, so saizi hajaweza kujua kama mko na place ambayo ni fixed pa kuishi, na pia kuna ile investigation hajaweza kumaliza. Mumesikia kitu tajia hapo, ikiwemo kuna explosive ambayo ilikuwa recovered, number plates na hata masimu. So unaona sasa kama explosive hiyo ni jambo ambalo hata for the public hiyo ni jambo ambayo lazima izingatiwe vizuri.
Okay, so kulikuwa na hiyo DCI officers arrested, and talking of arrests, kuna hii story ya boy anaitwa Njagi Bob Njagi. I interviewed him. Alafu kuna boy mwingine anaitwa Oyoo, and history yao I don't know how to feel about it, because it's one of those stories where wanatumika as a cautionary tale, and it's also another thing that we can use for all those people walenonaga wasaki wa arrogant online wako like these older generations, they know nothing. One of the things that the older generations in Kenya did was to give us freedom of speech And yeah, it's interesting when we talk about the older generation knowing nothing, and when we talk about freedom of speech, we literally associate that with an 80-year-old. And your Raila was 80 by the time alikuwa na dedi. So it shows you how those old generations did a lot of stuff, but people would rather pretend and lie that the older generations did nothing. One of the things that they did was give us that freedom of expression, and that in a way made Kenya a safer country than hizi countries go next to sisi. So hizi akina Uganda na TZ, they have their elections. TZ iko na elections zake ni next week, alafu Uganda iko na elections zake in January. And I don't understand why as a Kenyan you'd want to get involved in that, unless you are being umsewine kasipul kuziko hapo ana nini dictator. So since ana kiss asiyama dictator, it helps him. But if you go there and you're trying to go against the dictators, you're looking for trouble, and it's trouble that you don't need. So okay, wacha tusikie history yao, because history yao, like right now, if you are to ask me if they're dead or alive, I don't know. If you are to ask me why they went to Uganda, pia sijui walienda Uganda kufanya nini.
Now, the Ugandan High Court has dismissed a case seeking to compel security officials to produce missing activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo. In his ruling, Justice Simon Peter Kinobe says the Ugandan Police Force and Ugandan People's Defense Forces complied with court orders by submitting that the two were not in their custody. The court has categorized the two as missing persons and urged their lawyers to follow up the matter with the police. Meanwhile, in Kenya, activists protesting the abduction chained themselves at Foreign Affairs offices demanding resignation of Cabinet Secretary and PCS Musalia Mudavadi. Gatete Njoroge reports.
So his story, of course it's very sad that Mudavadi is doing nothing to try and bring these people back home. It's one of those sad scenarios, because you're there like, why are you doing nothing? Like, even pretend. Because I'm sure just a call from Ruto to Museveni is enough kufanya wase watolewe. And for Ruto to make that call, it's just Mudavadi too. But I feel like saizi nikawa naduiana favors. So wako like, we shika huyu, alafu wewe time yako tutakushikia mwingine. Nacheke like, even I feel even being like a Ruto critic and going to TZ or UG is dangerous. Just stay huku and just play safe, and just understand that in Kenya, for us to get easy freedoms tuko nazo, a lot of blood was shed. Najua inakuwaga that famous saying, freedom ain't free. So those other countries hawajafika hizo levels, so don't get involved. Like, they don't want your help. Why you giving them your help? But wacha tuendelee.
Shackles and a clamor for freedom for missing activists Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyoo, believed to be held by Ugandan authorities. But it is a fleeting cry from answers given by the Ugandan High Court. A ruling delivered by Justice Simon Peter Kinobe dismissed a habeas corpus case filed by two Ugandan lawyers seeking to have Ugandan security agencies to produce the two. Justice Kinobe, who had directed Ugandan Police Force and Uganda People's Defense Forces to produce the two, says the security agencies complied with court directives after submitting their responses stating the two were not in their custody. He states, and I quote, "I find that one cannot squeeze blood from a stone. The state can only produce what it has, and it would therefore be unrealistic to expect the desired outcome from circumstances that could not, in any case, yield it."
So nacheki. So say UG, because Kenya tukisikianga hiyo habeas corpus, if I'm not wrong, ile produce them dead or alive. And in Kenya, of course, like they don't, the courts zikisema hivyo, the police akina DCI, they try and do something. In UG, they don't have to. And now I have to ask myself, is it actually worth it going to these countries and trying to save them? And why are you trying to save them? Like, saa zingine si wenyewe tuko na shida zetu. Like, si wenyewe tuko na shida zetu. Even if you come to the elections, the fact that we think elections are fair, and we still get worried. Right now, if you ask people, Ruto akishindwa atatoka kwa 50-50, we are not sure. Why? So we have our own problems. Why are you going to other countries to solve their problems? So hapo, I guess Bob Njagi na Nini, I don't know what they were thinking. Let other countries just sort their stuff out. Sisi, wacha tu deal na story yetu. Hopefully, watapatikana wakiwa alive, and hopefully wata learn from that. And apart from them learning from that, hopefully other Kenyans will learn. Stay away from TZ, stay away from UG, stay away from Rwanda. If you've been involved in any sort of political activism, stay away from these countries. Stay away from South Sudan. Stay away from Sudan. Just ishi hapa Kenya. You can't save everyone. The people in those countries, if they want to be saved, they'll save themselves. Otherwise, we kalisha tako hapa Kenya. But talking of Kenya inakuwaga a very depressing country. So kuna story nilicheki, alafu ilikuwa ni msiflani ja Omosh alikuwa ameandika, this is one post that will break every parent's heart. Then ikaendelea, imagine losing your child and not even knowing when or how it happened. Then akapatia na story, 15-year-old Ian Gishagwa Maingi, a Form 2 student at Jumbi High School, is missing. A bright, disciplined and cheerful boy full of dreams and potential. Nothing seemed unusual until 17th October, when Ian's mother, Jennifer Modhoni, received a text from the school saying students would be released for the long December holidays. She was happy her son had completed the term well. The school even praised his performance in another message. Then ikaendelea, but when the students were released the next morning, Ian never came home. Earlier in September, Mama Ian had visited the school after hearing the students with school fees and school fees balances would be sent home. She pleaded with the administration to allow her son to stay as she tried to clear the balance. The school agreed, and that's the last comfort she had. When she didn't see Ian among those sent home for fees, she thought he was safe and studying. But on 18th October, as other parents welcomed their children home, Mama Ian waited for the notification that never came. When she called the school, a teacher said the students had already left hours earlier. Later, Ian's class teacher claimed he'd gone home weeks ago due to school fees, but the principal denied ever sending him home. That's when reality hit. Her son had been missing for nearly 3 weeks, and the school never noticed. A classmate said Ian had mentioned feeling unwell and wanting to go home after church on Sunday, 28th of September, but his mother never received any leave-out message, and the school has no idea how he left. This matter is now reported at Nyakianga police station under OB number blah blah blah. Yes, now our family is living through every parent's nightmare, wondering where the child is, whether he's safe or even kama yuko alive. Then wakabaki wameseti the numbers hapo, and this is what is scary, because umechikio place ya a classmate said Ian had mentioned feeling unwell and wanting to go home after church on Sunday, 28th of September. And after 28th of September, they come to confirm that he's missing on the 18th of October. That's 18 plus 2 days, 28th. If you are to count 28th itself, we'd have 3 days. So that's 3 weeks. So 3 weeks later. And I've always been against boarding schools. And I always say that the only time I support boarding schools is where the parents can't afford day school. Because kuna hiyo part where the parent can't afford day school. But boarding schools in Kenya, the teachers just don't care. Najua, it's just one of those things where the teachers just don't care. And since they don't care, your kid is not safe. And you'd rather have that kid next to you where you can keep them safe than wind up place kama hiyo. Because unaweza try imagine for 3 weeks, these teachers did not notice anything. That yes, umtoi tulimfukuza juu ya fee. But why, kwani arudi chuo? Siwacha tupige simu at least tujue anarudi chuo lini, najua. And also if you send this kid away, you have to let the parents know that najua nini tumetuma mtoi hii time, so tuambie akifika alafu tujue ni aje. But they didn't even do that. So 3 weeks zikapita, saizi ndo tunajua. And you can see the kid, he looks small. Where is he? Najua, like, this is just scary. Like when I look at this picture and I look at this kid, hapa amepiga like a picture next to the school, Jumbi High. And this is one of those things where when kids are left at these schools, the schools feel zero responsibility in keeping the kids safe. Na feeling ni kama ukipeleka mtu wako boarding, ni kama nafaa kuwa wameandika pale, unajua ile imeandikwa ni pack at your own risk. So hapa inafaa kuwa ni bring your own child at your own risk. That's that level. That's how careless they are. If it's not kids wale wanapigwa na walimu mpaka wana dedi, ni wale mtu amefukuzwa and no one knows where the kid is. I think I covered such a story ya mwingine alifukuzagwa chuo alafu akapatikana, hakufika home, alipatikana body yake sijui ilipatikana wapi. It's just scary stuff. Hopefully Ian is safe, but history kwa na highlight tu kuonyesha if you can avoid taking your kid to boarding, just avoid it. You just avoid it because these teachers don't care. Yes, wacha mtoto wako akuje home. Najua tunamboga boarding itafanya focus. The world that we are going to, 844 CBC and all that nonsense is not meant for that world. Right now I think tunapeleka watu wetu to school more for social skills and for the few that will want to be doctors, lawyers, because that engineers you can teach yourself. That's what's going to happen right now. But yes, it's a scary time to have kids and to send kids to school.
Ekonene, nimeinterrupt show kukuremind juu ya Lemfi. Kama uko US ama Canada na unataka kutuma do Kenya, register kwa Lemfi ukitumia promo code Ekonene. Hii itakuguarantee $20 cashback on your first $100 transaction. Alafu pia time una register, make sure umetick the 2 checkboxes za notifications ndio ukireceive info about amazing offers through newsletters. Na pia usijali, Lemfi hawatumagi hizi letters za, yani unajua like messages za kipumbavu. Pia usisahau every time una transact $50 and above una earn points. Na the more una transact, the more points you earn and you can redeem them as cash ile time unatuma pesa. Alafu pia kitu nanibamba kabisa ni saizi ukitumia Lemfi mzabaki umelipa pay bills na till numbers directly. That means mzabaki umehandle bills za maparo wako ukiwa hizo maside za States ama maside za Canada. Alafu pia we mwenyewe as a Lemfi user baki umetafuta ile button imeandikwa get USD $20, ubaki umeinvite mabeste zako, na ukiinvite mabeste zako on their first $100 transaction unapata pesa ngapi? $20 cashback. So unangoja nini? Baki umechangamka, ingia Lemfi. Lemfi, international payments for everyone. Ekonene.
So yeah, kitoka hapo acha nikava history. Kama kuna raya fulani, of course from day one sijai noki raya. Ini the sort of raya ile na trying to turn US into a third world country. Na ini raya kuna bonga juu ya US, yani ni hizi country kama za Afrika kwa shitole. Na raya na bonga juu yake of course ni Trump. So one of the things Uhuru alikuwa anaambiwa when he was running for when he was finishing his second term, alikuwa anaambiwa wewe maliza uende. Unajua, kumbuka this is Kenya, alikuwa anaambia maliza uende. Saizi we have an American president dreaming of a third term. This is one of those really third world stuff, and the reason why niko concerned juu kitu kama hii ni time US wataacha their president to run for a third term is the minute all African presidents will want a third term. The only reason Israel kubaligi 2 terms ni juu ya states. As soon as states imetoa hiyo story, because you see how Europe inaga terms, Europe places more za run forever. So Israel huagani juu ya states. As soon as states imetoa hiyo story, ujinga itakam. Na the first fala kutry kuchange story states to this level ni Trump. So acha tusikie hii story. Hii ilikuwa ni msanii anaitwa Steve Bannon alikuwa anabonga juu ya Trump. Na hiki tu ni bambaga sana, this thing of putting some dude and claiming that ndio anaweza save America, a country that's over how many years old and and has the the biggest economy. So this country has seen so many presidents and it's done well. But all of a sudden, this one guy is the only guy. Wacha tusikize.
He's going to get a third term. So Trump 28, Trump is going to be president in 28, and people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is, but there's a plan. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term.
Scale. And ilitaimu bongaga juu ya prayer waga very interesting. Nachiki hiyo sasa all of a sudden Trump ni a whatever of divine will. Okay, divine will. Okay. The gods chose him. Okay. Okay. Divine will. What do I know about divine will?
Right, and he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through Zanny and define all those terms.
But you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it.
If the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was interesting because if Obama had tried this shit, I try to imagine Obama. I try kusema because he was a very popular president. I try kusema that he was running for a third term. White America would have lost it. But inakuwaga so interesting, tribal politics, because this is tribal politics. Tribal politics inakuwaga so interesting because people never see the bigger picture. Najua. So in this scenario, white America and the whites wale walikuwa nafeel kwa na lose country yao, haoni ubaya ya kuchange constitution ndio mse moja run, because they only think that it's always going to be someone they love. They forget that at some point it's going to be someone they dislike, and it's going to be a problem. So right now ushacheki the nonsense ile ya kina Ruto kutry kuplant hizo ideas za let's change from 5 years to 7 years, let's trying to put your seed kutuambia we have a 30-year plan kuturn Kenya into a first world country. That's not going to happen. That's some shit you tell a child somewhere. Mature people like me know with corruption and all this nonsense, wastage of funds, that's never going to happen. We're just wasting money. I think they check something like the office of the deputy president has spent, is it like 1.3 billion in the past how many weeks? It's nonsense. We're not going to be a first world country anytime soon. But sasa unacheki say like hiyo tribalism, where tribe this time ni race, they're ready for anything. They're ready for this guy to run the country forever. And it's interesting, man. It's interesting because inanikumbushaga back in the days tukiwa watoi, leta niko nafikiriaga walami ni wote ni wajanja, alafu tuko nafikiriaga country kama US iko beyond this level of nonsense, and then you come and find out that hata hiyo country kona so many illiterate people that damn. Okay, acha tuendelee.
Beautiful bill. You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump. President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why it seems to me some kind of tension there.
The only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people, okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started.
Kitu moja naweza kuwa sure, if America changes its constitution and Trump runs for a third term, Africa is going to follow suit. Not just Africa, Kenya. Automatically, Ruto survive 2027, which I don't know. If he survives 2027 and after 2028 Trump runs, Ruto at around 2032. And this time he's going to be running on a clean 7-year term. That's how much US dictates what happens in other countries. And it's sad. Najua kuna raya zinashindagwa mof kwa nini uko invested na hiyo country. Cause najuaga, hata hiyo time ya ule buda thing kwa nitwa Smith Hempston. Msi fulani alipelekaga Moi mbio. Unajua ile tukitafuta multi-party. And that's why a lot of stuff za Kenya unachiki tumebora from US. Unachiki, even our freedom of expression, yetu inakuwaga much higher, a higher threshold than ya Brito. Ya Brito inakuwaga na upuzi. Hizi upuzi wanatry kuleta hapa. History za ukipost kitu kwa Twitter unaweza kujua kwa hao. Brito inakuwaga na all that nonsense more than US. Tumebora a lot of stuff from the US. So if Trump runs in 2028, Ruto is going to run in 2032 if he survives 2027. And to me that's just scary, because of course US kuna things that you can't take back. Freedom of expression hawezi take back, although somehow they are taking it back, because right now there are things that Democrats are not allowed to say. Kumbuka Democrats ndio walianzaga kupushi kitu. Now they've met the conservatives, and conservatives ama Republicans are making everything najua harder. But yeah, interesting. Let's see, man. Trump running for third term, Kasongo running for Museveni. At this rate Museveni will run akiwa kwa grave, because of course Museveni najua time will catch up with him. It's just a matter of time. Najua that's something that happens with age. So as a Uganda ndio zinafaa kujiuliza, when time catches up with him, what's going to happen? Is it going to be Muhoozi ama who is it going to be? And the fact that nimesema that time ita catch up na Museveni means that pia mimi kama Afrika ukini-invite kukuja Uganda na kuambia no. You know why? Self-preservation. Something that Bob Njagi na Oyoo walikuwa najua, but I guess I don't know what they were thinking. Iko nene.